Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fantastic. I'm Annika. It's great to meet you.
Hi, Annika. I'm
Yeah,
Angauri.
I'm in Perth, actually. I believe,
Oh, nice.
believe you lived here for 5 years.
I did, yes, from when I was 5 to when I was 10. So I have good childhood memories there. They're
Yeah.
all very sunny. I do miss the weather.
I did read that you kind of worked with TAFE students, like doing short films initially.
Yeah, I mean that's how I started. So my parents worked in theatre. The theatre and TV community in Perth is quite small and tight knit, and everyone kind of knows each other. So we were friends with an agent who signed me when I was a kid, and I started doing short films for university students. Which was super fun. I mean, when I was a kid, I was like, this is the best. I want to do this all the time. And I was so like well cared for and well treated. Like I remember, in between shots, they would like sit me down in a quiet room and I'd get to watch a movie while they all like worked. And I was just like sitting there eating jelly beans, like having the time of my life.
Yeah, because I feel like the TAFE kind of projects, like everyone doing it are like so into it and it's like made for wholesome reasons.
Yeah, yeah. And it was great, I mean, just to be surrounded by people who loved what they did, and my whole family as well, grew up in the arts and like loved the arts. And so I think yeah, it was just like I just grew up in that environment of like loving and valuing the performing arts.
That's amazing. I love that. And have you found that there's a variation in opportunity that you have depending on which city you're in?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really haven't gotten to work much in Melbourne at all. I love working overseas. I love working in America and, Canada and Europe. I mean, it's so exciting to travel for work, and because I get to meet new people and make new friends all across the world, that's so exciting. But I do love working at home. A lot of the Australian projects that I've done have filmed actually either in Sydney or WA. So there you go.
Jasper Jones, was that from WA? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that was really wonderful as well. That was such a cool experience to go back. We filmed in a small town, and that was just like such a great experience. I love working in Australia. I think because I have worked a few times here now, so I start running into the same people, which is always really nice. When an Australian film gets the funding to be made, and you're telling an Australian story shot here and with Australian crews, and I think there's just a different sort of like passion that I really connect with, because it's where I grew up and where I live.
Do you feel like you can easily adapt to kind of Hollywood and the glamorous, like intense world over there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think this is true for any industry, actually. I mean, talking to my friends who don't work in the arts, that you kind of change yourself for your job, and, you're a different person at work than you are at home. And I think the same can be said for depending on where you work. I mean, I think I adapt myself according to where I'm filming and the environment, but I think that's true for everything and everyone.
You got recently listed in the Actors to Watch list in Variety magazine. What does it feel like to be acknowledged in that huge way? Do you feel like there's a massive expectation on your shoulders now?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe now that you've mentioned it. Not really. I mean, it's such an honor. It's so exciting, and Variety is like a huge publication. Yeah, I feel so like overwhelmed and kind of grateful to be listed among some incredible, talented artists who I really admire. I don't know if I feel pressure. I think, but maybe that's a good thing, that like it's really wonderful and it's so nice and I feel so grateful. And I also know that like, I'm just gonna keep doing my thing, and and hopefully people will like it, and hopefully I'll like it, and everything that I do and every project that I commit to, like I feel passionately about it and I'm connected to it, and believe that it's a cool thing to be made and to be put out there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
keep like trucking along and
Where I write for at Student Edge, we kind of emphasize that young people, like, they don't have to take traditional career paths and they can have more than just one hobby. They don't just have to be one thing. And you, for example, you have a podcast all about books and fiction and stories. What would you say to young people who might have a lot of different passions but don't know what to decide?
That's a really great question. I think because often felt and still feel like that. I mean, because I loved acting, and that was something that went really well for me and is still going, you know, quite well, and I'm very thankful for that. But, you know, I also grew up mostly dancing and singing, and I've always loved music, and I also always loved reading and writing. Oh my God, I'd write so many stories when I was a kid. So I definitely felt pulled in all these different directions, and like, I don't know what I want to be. Do I want to be a pop star? Do I want to be an author? I don't know. And I think in creating this podcast, it was really important for me because I wanted to have something that was completely my own. I mean, that's the thing about working as an actor, is that there's so much you don't have control over. Like, you can choose your projects, but at the end of the day, like, it's whether they want you, and they have to choose you as well. And, you know, you've got to say what's written in the script, and, you know, there's so much that you don't have control over. So I created the community library because I wanted to have a creative project that I could control and that was mine, and it could be whatever I wanted it to be. And at first I was scared. I was like, oh my God, is this gonna confuse people? Like, should I even do this? Should I just like stick to one thing that I think I'm good at and that other people think I'm good at? And it's scary as well to put yourself out there with something new, and it's just yourself. You know, there's no one to fall back on or blame if it goes wrong. You're held responsible for everything. But at the end of the day, I'm very glad that I did it, and that I did it all myself as well, because there's something really kind of powerful and satisfying in creating something myself that I feel proud of, and that I know I can make whatever I want it to be. I highly encourage everyone to just like follow whatever they want, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't match up with other things, or if it's different, or if people discourage you. Like, yeah, I love it.
Is there like a random like hobby that you have that people may not know about you?
Well, I knit. I do think a lot of people know that because I frequently post what I've knitted on Instagram, because I want everyone to look at it. That's another hobby I picked up actually during lockdown. And also to have a hobby that isn't like monetized, or that I don't want to monetize. People have told me, oh, you could sell the stuff you knit, but like, then there'd be pressure to make it good. And like, if it's terrible, that's okay, because I'll still wear it. Whereas if it's terrible and I like try and sell it, like, I don't want people out there like wearing this like horrible like knobbly thing that I've made with mistakes in it.
Like high art fashion or something, like, oh, it has holes in it, but like it's meant to look like that.
That's true. I could just sell it like that. It's hard to like be bad at something with confidence. And when I started out knitting, I was not very good.
Do you kind of tend to set like career goals for yourself? Or do you think about the future a lot in terms of like a linear path?
I'm not a very go with the flow type of person, which I think works against me, because in this industry, you kind of have to be like, you can't plan, you just cannot do it. And like, I've learned that so many times with things falling through, or just, you know, different factors that play into it, like travel and scripts and funding and all of that. I mean, and you know, now with the pandemic, like, you don't know. And that's hard for me, because I love planning and I love knowing what's going to happen exactly, and I love goal setting in other areas of my life. But with, you know, professionally in acting and in this industry, like, it's so hard. You really can't plan. It's hard to just kind of let go of that control and be like, well, this thing didn't work out, but I've just got to trust that something else will happen. Yeah. And it's a lot of trust, and it takes a lot of like faith in yourself, which sometimes I don't have. And then, you know, you've got to rely on other people like hyping you up and being like, no, it's okay. Like, just because this one thing didn't work out, something else will come. So it's really hard to plan and control. So yeah, I reluctantly have to go with the flow.
Now, I haven't talked much about Spider-Man, because like, I just feel like we have to be pretty tight-lipped about everything. The one question I will ask is Marvel as like fanatical about keeping spoilers, as like, I feel like Tom Holland once spoiled something and it was like, oh no, like, you can't tell anyone what's happening in this movie.
Yes, you're not supposed to say anything and you can't say anything and they don't want you to. But there's another kind of moral obligation of like, well, I also don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil it for the fans. And that's part of what makes the film so exciting and why it's so anticipated, because so many people desperately want to know all these little details and they just have to wait. And I think that's what I think it's great for marketing, it's great for hyping people up to go and see the movie. I don't want to spoil it. I want people to go and see it.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, like, if you've accidentally spoiled something before, and like whether it's Marvel or not, but it seems like you're pretty good at keeping everything.
Well, I don't know. I hope not. Not that I can think of. I hope I haven't intentionally spoiled. I hope I haven't unintentionally spoiled anything.
I'm so keen to see Spider-Man. I'm a big fan myself, so I'm like going to the
Oh.
movie.
Oh, no way. That's so exciting. Oh, well, thank you so much, Annika. It was lovely to chat.